Hey, how are you guys doing today? Thanks so much for tuning into this video. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. And today we're going to be talking about ghosts. And we're going to be talking about pet ghost. This is really a thing, and I'm sorry that I'm the one that has to break it to you, but you shouldn't be keeping ghosts as pets. Let's break it down, shall we? All right, here's the thing, you guys. Look, I don't keep ghosts as pets. If you're a regular viewer of mine, you pretty much know how I feel about ghost. The garden variety ghost is just a low energy entity or soul that didn't cross over. Now, there's a lot of reasons for not crossing over, and not all of them are bad. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that all ghosts are bad. I am going to tell you that they're low energy, they're low vibration, and eventually that's going to impact you and your family or even your health because you've got this sort of low vibrational force in your house or in your business, wherever it's at. And eventually it's going to start dragging everybody else's vibration down with it, even if it's a child. Okay. I mean, if you didn't cross over, you said, no, I'm not exiting right. I'm not going to the light. Screw that. I'm going to stay here for various reasons. Then you're not supposed to be here. You don't match human vibration, yet you're existing in the human realm. One of these things doesn't belong here. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. Okay. So let's talk just briefly about why wouldn't somebody cross over, right? Like, why wouldn't you cross over? Well, a couple of things that I've run into in my long, I want to say long and storied history of crossing over souls, because it is something that I've done a lot. And I've got videos about that on my channel. And by the way, you're watching one of a series of videos called Wisdom on Wednesdays, or the acronym of WOW. And there's over 110 videos that are all free in my playlist. And you can watch about stuff like this all day, all night, and basically lose yourself in a lot of fun and raise your vibration to begin with. Click the swirly logo, go to my main YouTube channel, and then go to playlist, go to WOW, get some popcorn, get a blanket, get comfy, and guess what? You can literally binge all of these videos. And while you're doing it, why not subscribe? So anyway, here's some reasons why. And here's some good, let me give you some good reasons, right? A couple of good reasons that I run across often, especially with children, is that their abuser is on the other side. So they're like, nope, I'm not going over there with my brother, my dad, my mom, my aunt, whoever, my husband, wife, whoever it was that was abusing me. No, thank you. I know they're over there and I'm not going there. Now, some of this is consciousness, right? As a human, you start to believe certain things. You're indoctrinated. Listen, I'm also channeling this 20%, I guess, 20% Susan, 80% spirit guys. Usually it's 60-40. But anyway, this is what the guys want to say is you're indoctrinated by your culture or your religion, that also, if you've done something bad, you're going to go to hell. And therefore, I'm not going to cross over. So maybe a kid did something that the parent said was terrible and you're going to go to hell for that, and it's stuck with the kid, right? And then the kid is like, nope, I'm not doing it. But that also counts for adults are like, nope, I'm not going over there to face judgment. It's also kind of why you find a lot of dead people, ghosts hanging out at churches, because they kind of trying to, the guides are saying recidivate or repair their soul. So they often hang around confessionals in Catholic churches. FYI, don't want to skeeve y'all out, you Catholics. I'm sorry, but you're safe. Don't worry. You're safe. You're safe wherever you go with a ghost. It's just that eventually the energy is low and it can drag you down. I feel like ghosts hang out at churches also because there's often portals of light. There's portals for them to cross over, and when they're ready, they do it. So I don't feel like ghosts go to churches and then bring that vibration down. I think actually there are a few churches they're saying that it happens, but overall, It's a ghost exchange. Who are these guides that I'm talking to? It's like I see a turnstile, right? It's like a ghost transfer uh opportunity or something like that. It's like Grand Central Station for ghost is what they're saying. Okay, let's go back to kids for a second. So I've crossed over quite a few kids in my travels. Usually when I'm on vacation and I don't have all my protections up because I'm chilling out and relaxing, that's when I run into all these ghosts that need to be crossed over. I've got lots of videos, I'm telling you. I think there's even a playlist called Crossing Ghost Over a Ghost or something. So, right. So with kids, eventually they will drag your energy down. And I don't know why exactly this is, but it's not safe for them here, even though they feel like they're safe from whatever's on the other side. It's not safe for them here. They're not really supposed to be here. The guides are saying they're out of bounds. They're out of network. They're out of the place they're supposed to be. And that makes them vulnerable to other things that could happen, right? So I'm saying all this because I do this video every week on Wednesdays. And yesterday I was at the store and I ran into a friend that I hadn't seen in a year. And she said, "Oh my gosh, we just moved. We sold she had this cute little place. She said, we sold it and we're around the corner. But guess what? I've got a ghost." Now, of course, she knows what I do for a living. So she knows that she can tell me these things. And I said, "Oh, you do?" And she said, "Yeah, it's a little boy." So this is where I get like to this pet ghost. Like, I have known people that have had ghosts in their house that were like friends to them. I mean, honestly, friends, or just so much of a character that it became part of the house or part of the reason you visited because things would fly off the shelf, or you know what I mean? Like it was actually sort of like their shtick, or oh yeah, go to John's house because that's where the ghost is. And when you go to the bathroom, just be careful. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, right? So here she's moved into this new house and she has a ghost boy. And this boy left her an item that came out of nowhere that she doesn't know. Like she's like, I mean, we renovated this house. Like they had to like literally completely renovate this house. No stone turned unturned. And she's like, I don't know where this ball would come from. Well, okay, you've already crossed a whole bunch of red flag barriers in my world. First of all, if I saw a little boy, I would immediately want to cross him over. That's not her gig, so I get it. Like, I get it. But number two, if you're a ghost, like, here's my rules for ghost, right? Don't bother me, I won't bother you. If you bother me, that's an invitation for me to get up in your business. Okay. So if you think you can be in my house and be super quiet and not have too low of a vibration, then I might be okay with you for a little bit. But if you move things, make noise, talk to me, or make something appear that wasn't there before, yeah, I'm gonna have to call you into my office and we're gonna have to have a conversation about your eviction. That's what's gonna happen right there. So I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, and remember our friend Carolyn? Well, she moved back to Texas, and if you can believe this, she moved into the same house." And I said, "Not the same house." She's like, "Yeah, the same house that had the portal." I'm like, "Y'all, this is not like woo woo Disneyland. This is not this y'all are playing with fire up over here, right? Like I don't know why y'all are thinking this is like, oh, it's so fun to have a portal. No, it's not. Do you know what comes through portals? Let me tell you. Carolyn should know. Do you know how many things I had to throw out of her house because it came through the portal and now she's back? Oh Lord, y'all, I'm exhausted. I mean, y'all exhaust me sometimes. Anyway, so here's the thing. Don't keep ghosts as pets. Just don't, you know what I mean? Like this kid is so cute, and I could just see it. Like it's going to be a thing. This woman actually does retreats for women, and that's why she bought this house because it has like a kind of an apartment kind of thing where she can have these retreats. I mean, like, sleepovers, like women, like 5, 8 women come over and sleep over. I don't think she watches my channel, but if you do, hey girl, hey, I'm talking about you. And I mean every word I say. Call me to let me help you cross over this kid. I couldn't tell you in the store because your husband was looking at me already like he was trying to call the manager or the people with the white jackets. I'm not sure which. So that was not the time and the place. But anyway, if you have a ghost in your house, how do you know you have a ghost in your house? Oh, let me tell you. Well, all of a sudden, it's very cold. I mean, super cold, but it shouldn't be super cold, but it's super cold. That's a good indication. You hear things, you're not crazy. I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy. You're hearing things. Guess what? If your husband wasn't so scared or your wife wasn't so scared, they would say they were hearing things too, but it's better to just ignore it because they scared. And you know what we say? If you're scared, say you're scared. It's important. Okay, you're hearing things, things go bump in the night, things move. That is a big no-no. I'm telling you, if you got a ghost that can move something, your ghost is about to get a pay raise, an energetic pay raise, and a promotion to something else that's not a ghost. Okay? We don't want that. We don't want that. And don't call me because I don't deal with them things. I already got my butt kicked so many times. My guides are like, you're retired from doing that kind of work. Okay. I guess I wasn't very good at it because it was rough. Y'all, I brought home so many things to my house. My dog was like, do it one more time, mom. Do it one more time. I'm moving out. It, there was about 4 years of my life that were adventurous, but not calm and probably pretty dangerous. But anyway, so those would be some ways that you would know that you have a ghost. And also like the guides are reminding me, pets staring at something, cats that watch things, they not watching no fly. There's no fly in your house. You know what they're doing. Now they could be watching your uncle who crossed over last year. That's one possibility. But if you add the cat looking at something with the cold spots, with the hearing things, then you got a ghost, okay? Because your uncle is not that diabolical. I mean, like my dad is in spirit and he is definitely a trickster, but he couldn't manage he couldn't manage all of that, right? So add all those things together, you got a ghost. If one thing is happening, it could be a relative in spirit. Okay. And it could be they're tricksters. I mean, they could do some things, right? But if you have multiple things on my list, then I think you graduated to ghost. Now, you don't have to cross them over. You can, but it's not easy. Okay, right. So it's not easy to cross over a ghost because there's a reason they didn't cross over, right? I mean, there's a real reason that they're not crossing over. Now, some of the reasons can be that they're just jerks. And I totally mean this, right? Like, so one of my clients at that time when I was doing this kind of thing did a bunch of remodeling in the house, and the ghost was the guy who built the house. And it was an old house, and this guy built ships, and he retired and built this house, and he thought it was just fine. And he wasn't feeling it that this guy was doing all this major remodeling. And this ghost would do things, I've talked about this on other videos, but this ghost would do things like tie knots or untie things. So because he was a shipbuilder, he was a sailor at one point. So this guy would be, under the house, having crawled on his belly under the house because, the house is on pier and beam, and he's plugged in his tool, and he's tied a knot so that when he jerks on it, it doesn't come untied, right? I mean, that's what you do. You plug it in and then you tie it into a knot so that it holds together when you're pulling it. Well, he would get way under this house and pull on his cord, and the thing would come unplugged, and he would crawl back, and the knot would be undone. And then the cords on his blinds were done in sailor's knots. And I told the homeowner this. I said, they're not just knots, these are sailor's knots. And I showed him a picture on my phone. The ghost told me what to look up. And he's like, yeah, that's what they look like. I'm like, that's because they're not knots. And that's again, you are affronting this sailor by saying these things, right? So that guy ended up moving out. Like, I didn't cross that ghost over. That ghost was like, screw you and the crazy, car you drove up in. Not going to happen. This is my house. The homeowner moved out. So in another situation, the ghost was, there's so many there. I probably should write a book, but anyway, there are so many situations. But what I do is I find how I can cross them over. So that is, I always call to the other side and I ask who loves this person. It might not be the family member. Like one kid that I crossed over, his dad abused him terribly and he was mad at his brother too, because he felt like his older brother didn't help. So he didn't want to see any of them. However, he had a best friend who he had a crush on the best friend's sister. So guess who shows up? The best friend and the sister are in spirit, because this kid had died like 50 years ago. Okay, so everybody was on the other side, maybe even more than 50 years ago, in the 20s. So that's way more than 50 years. So when his best friend and his best friend's sister showed up in my mind's eye, boom, that kid was gone. He crossed over so fast. So that's how I do it. I find a connection of love. Sometimes that's even a girlfriend, or it could be a best friend, or it could be a brother or an aunt. But there's somebody who has genuine love for that person, and they know, because this is what they can feel is energy, okay? And they can feel that, they feel safe with that, and they cross over. So what I would do for this little boy, and I don't think she wants me to cross him over, because now he's a pet. He's part of her household, but what I would do is go to him and figure and call on the other side to see who would be someone full of love. One time I tried to cross over a little kid, and his grandmother showed up. So I assumed, and this was a learning thing. I assumed the grandmother was cool, and the grandmother, I thought, took the kid. This was a toddler. I mean, this was like a 4-year-old or something, or 4-year-old. I thought the grandmother took the kid, but then when I went back down, this was on a trail, okay, in New Mexico. When I went back down the trail, the little kid appeared. And I was like, what just happened? How did you not cross over? I learned to watch them all the way to the other side. Like, not just watch them go up into the sky, because that little bugger got out from behind her and ran down to the earth. So I learned to watch them. But when I was talking to him, the grandmother showed up again, and the little boy gave me the energy of he didn't like her. I didn't know why he didn't like her, but he didn't like her. So then this woman shows up in a completely different direction, and she's pretty far away in my mind's eye, and she starts walking towards me. And I know energetically this is his mother, and I know energetically he wants to go to her. And there's a whole video about this, but I don't remember the exact details about how they got separated or whatever. But I held space in my mind's eye and my own energy for the mother and the child, like a column of space, because grandma's over to the right. Grandma's not her mother. Grandma is the biological father's mother. Okay. I held this column of space open, and the little boy, when she got close enough, he wouldn't really leave me. I felt terrible. I just felt terrible that I didn't. Anyway, I learned, right? I learned, and I fixed it, and I got. It's a long story. It's all in the video. But when she got close enough, the little boy ran to her, and I could see the reunion, and she left with him. So in that case, right? I thought, I asked. That's before I realized to really tune in to the vibration of love. At the time, I was saying, who can come get this child? Who belongs to this child? Right. And then I learned, okay, that's not, because that same trip is where I met the little boy that was abused. So now that I think about it, I've done this a lot. Anyway, and I like it. I love crossing people over. That's wonderful. It's amazing. I'm happy to do it. I just don't like dealing with anything that's got more gas in its tank than a ghost. That unless my guides are trying to get me to get back into that business, I don't think so. But anyway, y'all, I mean, I'd have to like be showing up with garlic and swords and silver bullets and holy water. I would look like Indiana Jones of woo woo, except for that I would be like 5 times more armed than that. So these are the reasons why, right? Like, so I would just say to you that if you have a ghost, the first thing that I would do is demand that it leave. And I would tell it that I would say, because humans have free will, okay? And we actually are protected, but we don't realize it. It's like if you had a protection, but you didn't know it was protection, so you just left it in the house or you just left it in the corner and you didn't use it. This is humans. We don't know. We don't know that we're intuitive. We don't know that we're psychic. We don't know any of these things yet. We're about to learn them in a big way as we go into this new era. So what I want you to know is you have protection, that actually once you acknowledge your sovereignty, they cannot step over it. Okay. So once you acknowledge that, and here's how I do it, I say, I know that you know that if I say no, or I say get out, that you have to do it. To me, that's the only thing that works, because I'm calling their bluff. They don't believe, when I say get out, leave me alone, leave me alone. They're like, oh, you're just acting like a victim. You know what I mean? Like, that's scrumptious to us. So when you say, I demand that you leave my space, and I know that when I say that, you have to do it. So bye. They'll leave. They'll leave. There's so many more people who don't know that they're powerful, or that they can say get out and mean it, right? It's a lot like the guides are saying, it's a lot like human relationships. When you have an abusive person or a narcissistic person who says, yeah, you always say that, but you don't really mean it. You don't really want me to leave. And then you don't know what to do, right? Because you're like, well, what do I do now? They won't leave. So you just go in your room and slam the door. Well, that's kind of what we're doing with ghosts. We're just trying to ignore them, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work in your physical 3D environment, and it doesn't work in the non-physical environment. As a matter of fact, everything mirrors each other. So you really need to learn how to have boundaries and how to stand up for your boundaries, because if you have ghost problems, I promise you, you also have human boundary problems. Okay, it's all as above, so below. So that's how you would get rid of these ghosts. Now, I I don't care where they go, to be honest with you. Like, they're not going to go far. I could tell you that. They're earthbound. They get in the car with you. They get on the plane with you. They're earthbound. They're traveling with you. They're not out running the streets for whatever reason. It's not really safe for them to do that. If they need to go somewhere, they're going to go from this house to that house, from that house to that house. Or they're going to get in your car. I've had so many ghosts get in my car. I've had people that have picked up ghosts on trips and brought them home. Yeah, they like your energy. You're unaware of them. You're reasonably good, high vibration. Then that's a great place for them, right? So if you're low vibration, they may also be attracted to you. The main common denominator is that you're unaware, that you're just asleep. You're unaware that anything is happening, or you're actively ignoring it. It's bad if you're actively ignoring it, because then you're giving them more power. Well, they know she knows I'm here. I'm just going to get more powerful. I'm going to do more things. I'm not going to hide from her because she knows I'm here and she's afraid of me. So that gives me power. Okay. So evict them. And, people are like, I don't want them to leave. I don't, evict them. Okay. If you're saying I don't want them to leave, then you've got people also taking advantage of you in your life. And this is something that really you want to think about. I have had people say, and I agree, because I felt this my own self, that sometimes when the ghost is gone, it's almost like it's empty in your house. Like there's an energy, like it's like somebody moved out. I hate to say it, but it almost feels like somebody moved out. Um, and that's, humans pick up on the energy. And if it wasn't a particularly irritating ghost, then you're cohabitating and everybody's good. Except for I can promise you, if this ghost stays with you for 3, 5, 10 years, you're going to end up getting sick. I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. And as you get drained, they get your power, and then they become more powerful. Okay, it's not a good thing. It's just not. There are some ghosts here that are decent energy. They're still low vibration because they shouldn't be here, but they're not malevolent. They're not mean, but they're still kind of feasting on your energy. You don't really see ghosts by themselves. I would also say that sage is a great cleanser. You can also get sage in a bottle like this. Something smudge spray. I don't even know what that is, but you can get it anywhere. I mean, really. So if you don't want to burn things, you can spray it. It's a good cleanser, but you guys, it's not going to get rid of ghosts. It's not going to get rid of anything higher or more malevolent than a ghost either. It's your free will. It's like your ex isn't going to move out if you don't kick them out. You know what I mean? You have to do it. You have to gather your energy up, be strong, and say, no, this is my house. I'm not going to allow this in this house. Now, let's say you got a kid. Let's say you got something that you're feeling some kind of way about, like you've got a child ghost, or even I mean, I'm just going to leave it there. A child ghost, or a ghost that you feel like is not evil or not horrible. What I would tell you to do in that case is call in Archangel Michael, and I would ask for the angels to escort this ghost out. Now, one of two things is going to happen. If you are serious, you're like 100% serious, like this, for the greater good of everyone concerned, right? Like for the highest good of everyone concerned, I'm calling in Archangel Michael to clear my house of any energies that are not supposed to be here, that are not human. Okay? And I demand that it is done now. Woo, that's a pretty powerful statement right there. The energy just changed around me. Okay? Now, one of two things are going to happen. That ghost is going to go with Archangel Michael because it's going to sense that that is a safe energy, that they're going to be safe. Okay. Or they're going to skedaddle out the back door, or out the window, or out the wall, or whatever they do. They're going to go. They're either going to go with Archangel Michael, or whatever archangel that you feel confident with, or they're going to go out the back door. Either way, they're going to go. Now, if they go out the back door and you don't fill your house with love and light and raise the vibration of the house, then they might come back. Right? I mean, think about it. Kids do the same thing. You tell them, get out of the cookie jar, and they're like, oh, okay. And they leave the room, and you leave the room, and then they go back into the cookie jar. You know what I mean? It's just, these ghosts were human at one point. It's the same energy. If you don't make it hard for them to come back, they're just going to come back. Raising the vibration, playing some uplifting music, doing more things that are fun in your house, physically cleaning your house, like, physically sweeping, mopping, dusting. You can say prayers, you can get holy water, you can put salt around your house. There's lots of ways that you can do it, but none of those things matter if your energy isn't believing it. If you're just doing it like, I don't know, this stuff might work, I don't know, then who's going to believe you? It's like, I think you should go. Well, are they going to go? Is anybody going to go? If a crook came into your house and you're like, you shouldn't be in here, I think you should go. I don't think they're going to listen to you. I don't know why, but I don't think that's going to be something that they pay attention to. So you really need to have that power, right? Which is what we talked about, which is our sovereignty, which is, I know that I have the power to tell you to get out of my house. And I know that if I tell you that you have to obey it because it's universal law. So see ya. If you do that, they're not going to try to come back because you're too hard to work with. They're going to go to somebody else who's asleep. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So if I had a kid, I would call Archangel Michael, or I would call whatever archangel that you want to call. And then you're going to find out maybe like there are some children that are not nice, that are maybe even possessed is the word that the guides want to say. I mean, like, I don't know, that movie Chucky. I don't watch any of these movies because they're all real for me. I have not watched anything, y'all, not one thing, because to me, that is for real life on the screen in 3D IMAX. And I don't need that kind of stuff in my life. I'm living it already. Hello. So, but that Chucky movie, right? Is that where the doll comes? I don't know. Anyway, I don't even want to think about it. So hopefully this has been helpful, right? It's been a little primer on pet ghost. And when I say pet, like you might see your dog or hear your dog or your cat, you might feel your cat lay against you, or you might hear tick, tick, tick on the floor. That would be like your dog that's in spirit. That's not a ghost. That's them visiting you to say hello. That's very different. It's very different when somebody or an animal crosses over, makes the completion of crossing over, and then comes back. That's a visitation. That's a happy hello. It's very different when they don't cross over and they choose to stay here. Okay. I might link at the end here some of my more interesting ghost videos. There have been many ghost videos that are fascinating, actually, if you ask me, including some where I've crossed some really heart-rending, heart-touching things where I've crossed over kids, or one time I crossed over a guy who was a part of a big natural disaster, and he was looking for his wife and kids. He was asking me, so they come to mediums. We have a little, I don't know, like the Ubers have the light. You know what I mean? Like they have the little light in the dashboard. That's us. We got like a little light that's like, oh, you could see me, you could talk to me. So this guy came to me, and he was had a Greek fisherman's hat on, and he was looking for his wife and kids. He wouldn't cross over because he was looking for his wife and kids. Oh my God. He was like, I can't leave until I find them. Well, y'all, they left. They ain't no dummies. Women ain't no dummies. She grabbed her kids and went to the light. So they popped down in my mind's eye. They just kind of came down like they were leaning through the fog, like leaning over through the fog. And he was facing me, and they were to the side of him, like right here. And he couldn't see them. And I'm like, sir, they went to the light. They're right there. They've been just like when you lose your husband or your wife in the freaking Costco, you can't find them. Hello, sir, they're right behind you. You've been looking for like, I don't know how many decades and decades, maybe even 100 years, actually. And they've been waiting on you, sir, in the place y'all said you would meet. You didn't pay attention to that. Instead, you got it in your head that they were still here. Once he saw them, it was truly an amazing, that and the woman with the baby were some of the best scenes that I've ever saw. The only other one, for a whole different reason, this guy was being a jerk and he wouldn't leave, and he was causing problems. And actually, that was in this house, y'all. I forgot that was in this house. It's a long story. But anyway, he wouldn't leave. That is a hilarious story because, when they say like the plumber has the broken pipes, my friend came in and was like, you going to do something about that man ghost in here? I'm like, what man ghost? I got a man ghost. I got a man ghost. She's like, yes, he's sitting at your dining room table. I'm like, oh, hell. Because I block. And then I didn't see my own ghost in my own house. Of course, I wasn't living here. This was a rental. I had bought this to be a rental. So I wasn't living here. But anyway, well, I had some conversations with him, and he didn't want to cross over. And he was really an SOB, to be honest with you. And he was sitting there with his wife or girlfriend, and you could tell that she was abused. Like she was just sitting there, like, you know what I mean? Like timid. And she couldn't leave because he wouldn't let her. It was a nightmare. So I got her, I created a distraction with him because I have one of them conversations that you have with these people that they want to one up you or sass you or be disrespectful or whatever. So he was busy reading me my rights, and we had an angel come and grab her, so she took off. Well, then he was there at the dining room table. He wasn't too happy after that, but I called everybody in his family, y'all. I called everybody. I was on the spirit phone going, aunts, uncles, brothers, mother, dad. I mean, if there was a horse, a dog, a pig, whatever it was this man would cross over for, I was going to find it and get him out of my house. Okay. This was before I realized I could just kick him out. Like now, today, somebody treat me like that today, I probably would just call up Archangel and Archangel Metatron and Archangel Michael, and it would be done differently. But at the time, I was nicer. So anyway, guess how I got him to cross over? His aunt came and told me, or it could be his great aunt. Anyway, they're showing me she's off to the side. Anyway, I don't care. That man loved Harleys. Y'all, I, in my mind's eye, showed him a picture of a Harley. And I don't even know. I just made it the most, fantastic Harley that you could custom paint, big pipes, the whole thing. And he was like, whoa. I mean, it was like he saw a picture of a pinup girl. He was like, oh, hello. And I'm like, yeah, ride this Harley on up to the other side, and you can do whatever you want over there. You can ride Harleys all you want. You can race Harleys. You can build Harleys. You can have 1,000 Harleys, you know? And he was like, that's a good idea. And that man got on that Harley and rode off. And that's how I got rid of him. So those three are the kind of the bigger, the ones that really stand out in my mind, those three crossing overs, because they were so elaborate, or I don't even know what. But I think there's videos on all three of them on the playlist, which is a different playlist than the WoW playlist. It's a ghost playlist. But so if you like this kind of stuff, check it out. If you've got ghosts, throw them out of your house. Take really good care of yourself. Raise your vibration. You will find on the WoW list, the WoW playlist, you will find a lot of videos on how to raise your vibration. You'll find a lot of videos on soul contracts, on why you're here. What are you supposed to be doing here? How do I know what my soul contract is? It's just really and truly like 110, which is almost like 110 hours of free spiritual help. That's my job here on earth. Literally, that is my job. So take really good care of yourself. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Check out some of those videos. Take really good care of yourselves. And I'll see you next Wednesday.